Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Shit's Hard. I'm your host, Amber, and today we are talking about doom scrolling, particularly because this has been my current fucking issue that I'm working on lately, and I swear to God, I'm gonna fix it. Okay, so we're just gonna get into one, how I've worked on this and how I got my screen time down to 3 hours a day average last week. Not bad. Okay. We're gonna talk about why I think the doom scrolling needs to end, but also the infrequent benefits of scrolling. But I do feel like there's a difference between doom scrolling and scrolling. So let's get into it. I feel like my biggest issue with scrolling and shit is there's not enough time to do A, B, or C. So all the time, when we think about what do we want our what do you want your everyday to look like, right? What do your dream life, what would that look like from morning to nightfall? And a lot of us, the first thing we say is well, I just don't have the time. I don't have time for this. I don't have time to go to yoga. I don't have time to go to boxing. I don't have time to go lift. I don't have time to cook a meal. I don't have time to go for a walk. I don't have time for blah, 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 whatever the fuck it is. But I would encourage you, if you find yourself falling back into that response, take a look at your screen time, because although a lot of us in 2025 do have to have a phone for our job, for whatever that might mean. So I'm a personal trainer, and if my clients need to change their schedule, if they need to cancel, shift things around, let me know when they're out of town, that's all happening on my phone. They're texting me. They're letting me know, hey, this works. Hey, this doesn't work. So there's no way around that, right? I have to have access to my phone. And I think as a personal trainer who wants to keep my clients, I have to be relatively accessible to them when they, need to reschedule, right? I can't just wait 3 days to respond, That's not to say I need to respond immediately. My boss has mentioned if you feel you're struggling with workplace boundaries, maybe only responding to your clients between the hours of 9 and 5, a typical business day and weekdays or something like that. I don't necessarily limit myself like that. I shoot texts at 10 p.m. sometimes. I'll typically respond if I'm available, but I don't rush myself and prioritize responding immediately. So some things that I've actually worked on is training my brain not to run for the phone. So if I hear it ring and I'm actually busy, I'm in a task, I'm doing something, I let it ring out. I used to be so fucking bad to where I would get out of the shower, drag my fucking naked little body out of the shower, get the whole floor wet, grab my phone, dry it off, whatever, to answer somebody who's just hey, how are you? What's up? We just wanted to catch up. It's not a good time. And I think my anxiety, right, was telling me oh, I need to answer the phone right now. Somebody's calling me, whatever. What if they need something? What I've come to, and especially now that I live across the country from my family, what could anybody possibly be calling me for where they need me right now in this instant? They need me. Realistically, nothing. Nothing is that pressing. First of all, if it's a medical emergency with my family, if it's a medical emergency with my family back in Ohio, call 911. I don't know what I'm going to do on the other side of the country, right? So that's not helpful. And let's say, God forbid, it is some pretty bad news. I can wait until I get out of the shower, until I'm dressed, until I'm ready to be sat and hear what's up. There was a time when I was in college and something pretty traumatic happened in my family, and my mom waited 12, 16 hours to call me because she knew that I was driving from my hometown back to college, which is 3 hours. And although that was kind of fucking annoying because I was oh, so much time has passed and I was just living my life and I didn't know, it wouldn't have been helpful as I'm driving on the highway to get such traumatizing news, you know what I mean, and potentially wreck, because I would be a mess. So I do think there's something about literally teaching your brain that you don't need to grab it right when it goes off, and nobody's life really depends on it. You know what I mean? Unless you're a fucking neurosurgeon or a doctor of some sorts, you do your thing. But those of us that's not the situation, there's really nothing that's that pressing where you need to be, that high anxiety, because it's really not good for you. It's not good for your cortisol, for your stress levels. They just like go up, 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 up. I know that feeling all too well, right? I'm in the shower, or maybe I'm doing dishes and my hands are wet and my phone is ringing and my heartbeat is like going faster. I'm like, fuck, like how do I gotta like wash this dish, dry my hands. Okay, now I gotta grab it. And it's like, you're like, you're stressed about answering before the call ends or what. And it's like, listen, everything is fine. And I think it's like, this is what we were taught, right? Like I'm 24, so I didn't have the device in my hand until I was probably like 12. Those of us who waited later, lucky you. But the kids nowadays, they're fucking 3 years old with the phone in their hands, with the iPad. And I'm not judging parents by any means, but it's kind of the way of the world, These kids go to school, everybody's got a Chromebook, everybody's got an iPad. Like you have to be immersed in technology to succeed in this world. So there's no escaping it, but trying to find like a healthy boundary with it. Because I feel like I've been going to therapy lately. I've been talking with my therapist and I was like, I feel like my phone is ruining my life. I feel like it's sucking all the good, all the creativity, all the creative juices, the fun, the happiness. And it's just like, I was watching a video about a teacher talking about the current youth and how putting the phone in their hands so early and that easy access to it is literally fucking up the dopamine receptors in their head to not work properly. Where their brain, it's literally a chemical reaction. It's like an addiction, right? And chemically, and they're kids, they're fucking kids, right? So they don't they're not grown adult people. And their brains are just like dopamine, 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 dopamine. And then they go to school and their teacher's like, all right, phone's away. And the kids are like angry and they're having really bad behavioral issues because they don't know why this is happening to them. And to be fair, us as a society didn't know either. Right? Like this is new. They're experiencing something that I didn't experience as a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old or even a 10-year-old. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I've seen like content about like, parents trying to limit screen time or having boundaries around it or whatever. Hopefully that helps. I don't know. Good luck, y'all, is all I got to say to that. I'm not a parent, so that sounds really difficult to navigate. But I know for me, even as an adult and even as somebody who's, my prefrontal cortex is developed. It's fully developed in like 2 weeks now. So looking forward to that. But no, really, like I find that it's kind of ruining my life and it feels very addictive and I notice myself going for it. And so I talked with my therapist and, we kind of talked about like, okay, when are we going for it? And I was like, okay, so I'm a trainer, right? And I have 15-minute sessions. So there's like a 10-minute give or take, right? Like probably more like 5 to 10-minute window in between clients, right? Not enough time to like read a chapter in a book or really do much. And like sometimes, sure, I'll have a conversation with a coworker, but if there's nobody around, it's like, the automatic thing is grab the phone, scroll Instagram, right? I don't need volume, so I'm not going to do TikTok because I'm like at work and people are around me, but like I can look at their stories or whatever. So granted, I don't think it's the worst thing if I'm shuffling through for like less than 10 minutes, but I get home from work, right? And I go to eat dinner and like, I eat alone, right? Like most days. And so, there's nobody, I'm not talking to anybody. So what do? I realized I had this habit of like, I had my water bottle, right? And then I would have like my habit was to grab another roughly like heavy item here. And so that my phone could be propped up and I could fucking scroll TikTok while I eat. Mind you, I'm at work as a trainer being like trying not to eat distracted, try to limit distractions, try to not watch any TV or videos. And I'm over here like, fuck, how do I break this habit? It's so hard. And I think especially for those of us with ADHD, our brains are like, running a million miles per minute and our brains are like, I need stimulus. The TikTok isn't enough. Okay, now I need to play music. Let's watch something in the background. I need more stimulus. And it's like always needing to be stimulated. So, me and my therapist kind of talked about one, trying to sit in the uncomfortability of being bored. But, I also know like it's hard to break a habit without replacing it with a new one. So then I kind of thought about, okay, what would I rather be doing with my time? And I really made a list of like, what would I rather be doing than scrolling TikTok? Because realistically, if I talk about my dream life, if I talk about, if my perfect day, what does that look like? It doesn't include a lot of scrolling TikTok, to be completely honest with you. Okay. But it would probably involve, hanging out with friends, spending quality time with people I love, It would also include maybe playing my piano, maybe songwriting. I love the friends one, but I want to focus on stuff that we can control because like, day to day, weekdays during the week, like I'm not, I don't have like a friend I can just be like, hey, talk to me so I don't get on TikTok. But if you have that solution available to you. But I can always sit down on my keyboard and there's nothing really stopping me from doing that. Or yoga, like yoga is so fucking like accessible. I have my mat. You don't even really need that. You can really lay out any flat surface, and do some yoga. Okay. And like, these are things I genuinely would rather be spending my time doing than TikTok. Or what are other things on my list? I think to just create. Like I was like, I want to create more things. And so, if there's any kind of like, I was thinking of like quicker, shorter ones because it seemed like my TikTok habits were like, oh, I don't have enough time to, clean my room. So I'll just watch TikTok for 30 minutes instead or whatever. So I was kind of focused on like shorter stuff, but longer things too. Let's say you're into fucking pottery. Let's say you've been into fucking coloring lately. I do think I've been getting more into journaling and I have like 3 journals now and I have like a career journal and a lifestyle journal. And then I have like another, more like fitness and whatever journal. I don't know if that's necessarily necessary. You don't have to do that, but I don't know. It feels good for me. I've been titling my journal entries too. Whatever. I like it. And so journaling has been a great one that's quick, right? And that's one my therapist and I talked about in between clients maybe. Like I could bring a book and maybe get a chapter through, but I don't like stopping reading like in the middle of the chapter because that kind of annoys me. But journaling's a good one. Like she was like bringing a little notebook, something to literally scratch into. And I think for me and my creative brain, right? Like I get ideas like when I'm in the most random places, right? And I hate the idea of everyone's like, oh, just put them in your phone notes. No, for me, it doesn't work. If phone notes, it just goes into the abyss. I'm never going back to that. And it just feels good. There's something about putting pen to paper for me. And so I was actually thinking about getting another journal. I know. Yeah. Do I need 4? No. Okay. But this is how I like to journal. Okay. So if you don't like to journal like this, journal however the fuck you want. But I was thinking about getting like a little mini career journal that I would keep at work or maybe in my bag, like to take to work. So just like a small one. And then, in between clients, if I have any creative ideas or things I want to like work on or videos I want to make or content I want to talk about, that could be a great place to like jot that kind of stuff down. And I feel like when I write it down, it really sinks into my brain. So I was thinking like those things are really what I'd rather be spending my time doing anyways. Again, that's not to say that I think TikTok or social media is totally like, we got to get rid of it altogether. And I'm sitting here, in front of my phone talking into a microphone. You're listening through probably YouTube or Spotify and I'm like, get off the internet. Like ironic, right? But I do think like there are really high quality creators or high quality information on the internet that wouldn't be accessible otherwise if we didn't have it. So but even like trying to be mindful about your scrolling, right? So I was like, I think there's a difference between doom scrolling and scrolling. For me, like sometimes, okay, so I'll give this example. I wanted to buy a bikini lately, but I just like, I really sat on this and I was like, I want to get something sustainable. I want to research the material. I'm willing to spend more money because I want to get something that will last. I want to find something that's ethical. Like you know what I mean? Like I've had enough Target bikinis. I've had a Shein bikini. It's absolute crap. It's the worst material. It doesn't fit me right. It doesn't hug me in the right places. So I was like, let me do some research. So I got on TikTok, right? And I found this girl and I cannot remember her name, so forgive me, but she was making content about, she used to work in the swimsuit industry in, I think marketing or something like that. I can't remember. But she would place like orders for like bulk orders for the company and whatever. And so she was more knowledgeable on like the material, the polyester, elastane, like what was high quality, what was low quality. Most swimsuits only block either UVA or UVB rays. And like you want to have one that blocks both. And like, when you get a swimsuit and you like sit on concrete and it gets all nasty or, after a couple wears, you start to get that weird like butt sag and stuff. And some, vibrant colors start to fade or get like sun bleached kind of after a while. So anyways, it was a really good informative video and I watched like a couple of her videos and then I did some research and was trying to find like where, like what's a more affordable bikini that's also like high quality and like good fabric and whatever. So I feel like that's a good use of my social media time. I'm not going to list that under doom scrolling, right? Because I feel like it was informative. I was learning, I was educating myself. I was trying to make an educated purchase and I was trying to be good for like, the local economy or just like not change in corporations and invest in a business that's like maybe a small business, or, find something that's, again, sustainable, better for the environment, and, not hurting people. So there is really good information on the internet. And hopefully you think that about my podcast. Hopefully you're like, oh, this is like a fulfilling place to come on the internet. But, even here, I don't want you to doom scroll my stuff or watch for so long that it's like, oh, I just feel like I haven't got anything done. Like, I hope you watch a video, you get something out of it. You feel, maybe you feel a little more empowered after this video to like close out of the app and go get outside and go for a walk and maybe do something. Or maybe think of that list in your head of like, what would I rather be doing than binging content? Is there anything I'd rather be doing? So I think that's, kind of in reference back to what I was talking about. There's not enough time in the day to do A, B, or C. Maybe there is enough time in the day. Maybe we're just spending our time, like maybe the way we're spending our time isn't exactly reflective of what we actually want to be doing. And I feel that's what was going on with me. And ever since I've really, like for the last week or two, I've been like really trying to be conscious of my time on TikTok specifically, because that was my worst one, but also Instagram, because, when my TikTok like time limit runs out, then I jump to Instagram. I don't really scroll YouTube Shorts often, but that could be another one too. So I set my limits. I set my limits to 30 minutes on each app. So 30 minutes TikTok, 30 minutes Instagram, 30 minutes YouTube. And I know that sounds so low, but I had them to an hour and a half before that. And then I think I went down to an hour, and now I'm down to 30 minutes. And like my goal has kind of been to mostly use the app for creating. So if I'm editing or creating content, fine, doesn't count toward my minutes. Although obviously like, the phone tracks it. But like today I already ran out of my minutes, but I was making a video and I was editing it in TikTok, and I haven't really scrolled, but like that took up the whole day. Okay, fine, whatever. Like I know in my head that that's not whatever. But also like, maybe if you're not a creator or whatever, just also trying to just use the app for like information. So, if you're trying to learn something, if you want to find a new recipe, maybe you want to research a sport you're interested in or that kind of thing. Like I think doing research on TikTok, hey, you might like, oh, you gotta be careful what you find on the internet. You gotta be careful what you find anywhere you get information, okay? Like research is fucking research. Like, of course, always be thinking critically about like, what's the source and, what are they saying about X, Y, and Z nutrition recipe or whatever. But there is so much to learn on TikTok. And as long as you're thinking critically, it's an amazing resource, but trying to use it as such. I feel like that's been my goal, is trying to use it as a resource to find information, to research things, to see what other people are saying about bikinis, but that's it. So I feel like for me, TikTok turns sour when I'm laying down in bed, just scrolling on by video after video after video. And it's just like, I don't know how much time has passed. I can't tell you any video I just watched because none of them were like informative or helpful. And it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I love a good laugh. I love entertainment. I'm not saying that's useless either, but for me, I was like letting hours of my day go to this. I think my screen time used to be like 6+ a day. And if I really think about like how many hours are in a day and what I want to accomplish in this lifetime, do I want to be spending 6 hours a day on TikTok, Amber? And I can tell you that was not creating. That was all doom scrolling. Like, I'm embarrassed to say it. And I'm sure that I've had days that are fucking much higher than 6. But I do feel like ever since I've been focusing on this for the last 2 weeks, my mood has been a lot better. I felt like a little like happier, or like just more like my life is mine, like my day is mine. I think I'm feeling more creative. I feel like as a creator myself, when I was doom scrolling too much and watching what everyone else was doing, I was very caught in this like trends and what is everyone else doing and what do people want to see and what have people not done and what's new and original and get ready with me and but they don't want to hear get ready with me and now like drop the verbiage because that takes too long and hook faster. How do we get to the clip the video shorter? Where's the conclusion? Like where's the big like pizzazz and the fucking it's just like it was like shaping the content that I was making to the point where I didn't even like making content. I was like, honestly, I literally was like, maybe I don't even like making TikToks or short videos. Maybe short videos just aren't for me because I hate this. But you know what's crazy? Okay, maybe you'll think this is bad. I don't really know or care. I don't really listen to podcasts. And I know that sounds insane, right? Like this bitch fucking, you're listening to me making a podcast and you're like, why the fuck should I listen to her? I think my creative freedom and my motivation to create is so much better when I'm not like watching what everyone else is doing. That's not to say there aren't other amazing podcasts. Of course. I was originally inspired by Ellie Schnitt. She did Schnitt Talk on Barstool years ago. And her podcast was kind of similar. It was like vibing in her bedroom and just like chilling. And I definitely drew inspiration from her. But now, like, my days are kind of busy. And to be honest with you, it's not my favorite way to take in content. And yeah, I think like I also used to have like a 45-minute drive to work. So that was more like a podcast vibe. And now my drive to work is like 15 minutes. So it's not like a full podcast length. But I think that's made me enjoy the creation process more, because I'm not listening to podcasts thinking like, oh, well, you know, they did this, and, you know, maybe I should do that, and maybe I should, you know, have this video, maybe I should talk about this. And I've had so many people who have the best intentions, who are like, oh, you should talk about this celebrity drama. Oh, this is a trending topic. Oh, this word is going viral. No, I don't care. I don't care what everyone else is doing. I don't care what everybody else is talking about. I just want to create my own shit. That's what I want. And I want to put stuff out there that really feels like me, like authentically me. Like not only the video feels like me, but the editing, but the thought process behind it, but the streamline, but the idea, oh, I haven't seen this done yet. Oh, this made me think of this. Like, and right now I feel like since I've been off of like a little bit dialed back on TikToks and stuff, I feel like the content that I've been putting out there is, you know, at least more original to me. And it also feels more authentic because it's actually what I'm thinking. Like, I feel connected to my content. I hate batch content. I've tried to do it with this podcast a little bit. I don't mind it on the podcast as much, but I don't like to batch too much. I don't like batch TikToks because like batch TikToks is more like you spend like a whole day creating content, and then you like, you know, maybe you post the video like a week or 3 after you created it. And I just feel so disconnected, you know what I mean? But when I record it and I edit it in like the same day, or maybe even the same, like, you know, 3 days, I feel like it's still resonating with me because it's honest. It's like actually what was pissing me off. You know, I made a couple of videos about, you know, my mom's, you know, bad relationship with me over Mother's Day. That was authentic. That's actually what I feel every Mother's Day. You know what I mean? And so, you know, and I've also been creating content that's more about like creativity and, you know, like what are some things you created that feel like a representation of you, and, you know, what's a list of things you'd rather be doing than scrolling TikTok. Like, these are real shit that I'm actually doing, and I think that's what feels better to create it, because it's like real. I actually am trying to spend less time doom scrolling. I'm not just telling you this video. I'm like working on this in real life, you know. And so anyways, that's my little like rant there. Is content is so weird. We are living in such a weird time. We are living in such a strange, like, politically things are ass backwards right now. The climate is fucked. You know, the kids don't have an attention span. Their dopamine's fucked. And it's just like, things are weird. So I hope that you can come to my page and find solace and respite and, like, you know, feel comfy here. Share what you're feeling here. I had one video on Shorts that did pretty well, where I was, you know, kind of talking about like therapy and the inaccessibility and feeling like it's just hard to find a therapist, and a lot of people resonated. And that was my goal, was to create a community of people who are like working on this shit, just personal growth and trying to be better. And so the focus for me this week is ending my doom scrolling and just trying to be better, and knowing that we're going to fail inevitably, and we're going to have days where, you know, we don't have much to do and we're a little bored. Oh, well, that's fine. I think for me, it's just trying to take it back so it's not a habit. It's a one-off. You know what I mean? If I do end up scrolling, I want that to be a one-off, not my everyday. And I think, like, since I've been trying to invest more in this aspect of my life, it's been better, and I feel more creative. And to be honest with you, a couple weeks ago, before, like, what kind of pushed me into working on this was I felt so uncreative and so uninspired, and so, like, you know, if you watched last week's video, I just felt like, I don't know, I just felt like I wasn't good at anything. I wasn't creative, and it's that comparison too of social media. And I know we hear this all the time, but even subconsciously, like, you might be thinking like, oh, I don't compare myself to people on social media, but like subconsciously, like in that under level, it's like, oh, well, you know, she's working on this and she's finding success in this, and, you know, I'm not really working on anything, and I'm not really this. It's like, there's so much to compare yourself to. You're not even consciously doing it. It's just happening. It's just like involuntarily, you're like, oh, like, she looks skinny and hot and I don't anymore, or whatever, and this and that and whatever. It's just like, it's too much. So I feel like in the same way that I've talked about moving across the country and kind of turning down the volume on my like childhood trauma and parents and expectations, and it helped me get clarity, I feel like that's what I'm feeling like in another font. With this idea of stepping back from taking in content, I'm just turning down that volume of what's coming in so that I can, focus a little more on what's inside. What do I actually want to be doing? And how do I actually want to be spending my time? So, and it's been helpful. So I hope if you're on that journey, I hope that it's helpful for you. Like I said, it's going to be fucking hard. Shit really is fucking hard. I swear. And also forgiving yourself for not being good at it, or for being wherever you are in your like fucking phone addiction, because we were raised into this, and our parents didn't have these problems. If you're around my age, I'm 24. My parents didn't have a fucking phone when they were fucking 18, 20, 25. Like, this was just a whole new thing where social media came up when I was like 12. And so you're struggling with something that we as a society have actually not spent a lot of time on, done a lot of research on. We don't know a lot of the long-term effects on this dopamine hitting our brain all the fucking time. So you're doing the best that you can. I'm trying to do the best that I can. Like, we were put in this weird situation. We were put these phones in hands. We're given the society that's like, glue your life to this device. And it's not natural and it doesn't feel good. So trying to have those healthy boundaries with your phone and trying to like, let it ring and disconnect a little bit. If you're on that journey, I'm right there with you. But this shit is hard. So that's what we're working on this week. And I will see you on the next one, because this shit is hard.